Good afternoon, morning, noonday, night. Hope everybody's doing well. Today's video, we're watching a little bit more Overwatch 2. It's actually the last one of watching the Overwatch 2 matches. This one is on Havana, and it's a pretty interesting match. Talk a little bit about that with Flats. And if you like the video, hit the like button. Sub the channel if you haven't. I hope you all have an amazing day.
All right, I'm on it. I'm ready to go.
Okay. All right, 116.
Yep, ready. 3, 2, 1, now.
Okay. Put the downs down a bit. Thanks for the gifted sub, Callie. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks.
So this is the mobile Bastion with the new rework.
Okay.
But it doesn't look that strong.
So Bastion's able to move while in that form, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we're watching Sim. Both teams are running. Well, okay. So one team's running Sim May, which this is the new May changes too, right? Where like May doesn't freeze people, but can slow.
Look at this
them.
power steering.
Yep. Oh yeah, I forgot that's in the game now.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was worried that it'd be hard to control, kind of like the April Fool's patch, but according to Super, it's actually like super easy.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it probably would take a little bit of practice too.
Yeah.
Right. It's like on Wrecking Ball now. I can do rollouts I never could do before. So I just would do a little bit of practice. You'll get.
You
it
can do
down.
rollouts now.
Oh, I can. Oh, with Ball, yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, it's I have my moments on Ball. So.
See, this looks like almost like traditional. Remember, like hold the door rush type of thing.
Yep. This is what it looks like so far to me. Obviously, they're running a comp that's like kind of almost like a static comp where you kind of have to kind of like set up and all that. So like they're running rush into that, which can be really strong against that. So yeah, I definitely agree. But now look at the comp they switched to, where this comp is really good for kind of breaking out of there a little bit. So. Yeah. Which that is they popped window and got a free kill. That is something that we see right now.
Yep. The only difference is everybody else would have fed for the rest. They all went back into the spawn.
Yep. So I mean, so far, once again, like it's hard to see like the difference in play here with the 5v5 because this is generally how you would play this right here.
Yep.
Like in general, this is what we see. So it's more like. I have to kind of see, like, I'm more going to look at kind of how Bastion was playing and kind of see how May works in this rush comp now. Because obviously they've changed May a little bit, but obviously they just went Pharah. So it was a good comp switch by them, honestly.
Yeah.
That looked from that play right there. That looked like what we would normally see in Havana. Once again, it's really hard to say how like this is why I would like to see a POV of like the tanks and like on every map because I get a better idea of that. Because watching that from like the overhead there, I go, yeah, it's pretty much how you play Havana on this map.
Yep.
And the fights happen in the exact same spot. So look at they're taking the same angles they're fighting. So like nothing's really changed with how they play it, and that was just
I know he
wow.
I know he lasered him, but like this isn't something we've got to really see yet until this map. But Soldier looks really strong in this format.
Yes. Well, Soldier has a little bit less. Believe it or not, a lot of the time, one thing that made Soldier a lot weaker would be like having a diva. Like you could have like the Rhine still hold it like down there, but you have a diva or like a Wrecking Ball, or that's an off tank can definitely do really well against Soldier.
Yep.
Sometimes.
Take a look at this dragon ringer, by the way. That looks beautiful. There's one thing that they always do is like they do like their designs and stuff so well.
Oh yeah. Oh, so a lot of the skins they've done recently, I have looked.
Skins have been phenomenal.
Yeah, they've been doing a really good job.
I think they really made a difference. Even like
how did that Helix hit the Mercies, the AoE increase? I'm not actually sure. Have they changed anything with projectile?
I don't believe so.
Or if they did, we don't know if they.
Yeah, we don't know about it.
Because I didn't see that though. That might have just been like a really good like splash damage shot too. I didn't see. I guess I must have missed that. Okay, this looks about normal for Wrecking Ball play. That's basically what I do right there, except I'm usually dead.
Yeah, much faster.
Yep. Yeah. See, this is playing a lot. This is what I was saying though. This is playing a lot like. This is
that pin.
This is playing a lot like we would see Havana be played. Because this map too is one of those maps that's very. Tanks are good in this map, but. Like snipers are really good in this map, and long range is really good.
And there's no snipers here other than Hanzo, which is you know what I mean.
So I'm curious to see how this map would play like Widow. If they just played Widow in the back with that one tank, I could see that being different.
That could be very, very different, especially, and that's why this is one of my hot takes. I think they should remove almost all one shots from Overwatch 2. I think Widow damage should go to 250 maximum. Full charge, maximum 250. They can increase their survivability to compensate if they want to. I think Hanzo is the same thing. I think, I think that having one shots when there's going to be so much less shields and so much less like, you know,
Yep.
counterplay to just point and click head, that you know, it needs to be considered. You know.
Yeah, but I think that like at least from what I'm seeing, that's what they've kind of been wanting to have more of, is like the fights to end quicker.
Yeah.
So it's like to them that could be like the fight's over.
I don't think the one shots are the way to go. That like I think they like if they want the fights to go slow or and sooner, that's fine from like a healing point of view, you know. But like, it doesn't feel good to play with. I mean, it doesn't feel good to play against, especially is getting one tapped constantly. Like nobody enjoys that.
No, I mean we see this on this map all the time, where you get one shot, you're just like, you know, I'm curious to see how they go with like the increased damage across
So this
the
is
board.
the DMR Bastion. Just kind of like it kind of looks and feels a little clunky.
Yeah, I mean, it's like,
No spread, I believe. No spread. Yeah.
I think it's hard to say because I don't play a ton of Bastion. But what is that right there?
That's his new right click. His new like
What does that
grenade.
do?
It's like a grenade shot.
That was kind of cool.
Yeah, I think his design
Yeah.
is good, but
Yeah.
just the application's a little bit tough because,
Yeah.
well, I'll give it a second. You'll see what I mean.
Bastion was like playing the cello in a marching band, right? You have to keep setting up and moving and setting up again, but now you can do it on wheels.
That's you know, that's like the end of his usefulness right there.
Yeah.
And he doesn't
It's
look like
really
he feels good either.
Yeah, but I think this will be good for them to see that, and maybe they can kind of like reevaluate some of like the way they're doing it, or like maybe like can change some numbers around and stuff and see how that plays. Because I think that's what I'm seeing. What you're seeing, it's like it's cool, but will it be like the play's cool? And somebody said that Jeff Goodman said that he wanted the buff Bastion before this demo. I wouldn't doubt it. It definitely seems like it maybe what they were trying to do
This
was
is
find some of
ridiculous
that.
right here. This is EMP.
Oh, yeah.
This is fucking ridiculous. Everyone's HP. The
Yeah.
40%, dude. That's way too much. Like even he's already like strong as an ult, but like
Yeah.
I don't know. Like my concern here more than anything already is this is supposed to be like they have to fight on card. But Ryan does not look good here. You know what I mean? Ryan looks like he's terrible. Like he wasn't even, you know what I mean? Like he's constantly having to back away. It looks almost like current patch Ryan, where like you drop your shield, you're fucking dead. You know?
Yeah, I was concerned about this too. If you didn't notice, Sombra got like 30% ult charge from that EMP.
She's at 65 right now.
Yeah, she got 30% from that. Apparently that's a bug.
Okay.
Because I was gonna say, like, what? That's one thing they could do though. If they want to keep Sombra how she is, outside of like, they have to obviously nerf some of the numbers down just a little bit, right? Damage-wise, they'd make it a little bit longer to get the ultimate. Because then like EMP will feel like a kind of like how Grav isn't like the easiest to get now with how the game plays. Like you can get Grav, you know, obviously on a Ryan's already Kings or mirror match on a cooldown, right? But I think that you would have to tone down the ultimate if they're gonna leave it like that, which they more than likely they will.
Yeah.
Like, they'll yeah.
Did you notice though that was supposed to be almost all up close fighting, and Ryan did not look good. You know.
Well, no,
that
because
was like the time that he should look good.
It's like the problem that when Ryan would look good there is that Ryan has to spend so much time holding the shield that by the time the shield's gone, there's really no other way to survive. So like right now, if I'm like you and I are playing, right, and they break your shield, I can DM you and keep you alive.
Yep.
I can bubble you to give you time to get to corners. So you have to play. The problem is now is you have to hold your shield. The shield's gonna die eventually because I know they lowered the
as
HP
well in this.
But I think, and I think they've mentioned this before, I don't think your shield will feel like it dies. I mean, maybe it will. Maybe Super talked about it. But like, the tank damage did a lot to shields too. Most of the time, the off tank is always spamming the shield. So, in theory, if you don't have like you're playing Ryan and I'm playing Diva and I'm holding left click and putting rockets into the shield, in theory, it probably has the same uptime.
You think so?
You have to test it. I have no idea. Once again, you have to test that, right? I have no idea. I'm saying, like, in theory, if there's 400 less HP, but you don't have that, how much damage does? Okay, no, it's probably a little bit less uptime than what you'd see it now. Probably a little bit. I think it was 1400 currently right now. I think then it would be a little bit like that. But yeah, no, it's definitely tough there, and you can see that. Like with Ryan there, it's like with Ryan there, you could see that Ryan wasn't able to do much.
Yeah.
Just because it's both you have to worry about many things, and it seems like both games, what we're seeing is we're seeing people kind of just play spread around the map, kind of like playing zone.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like,
no,
I
exactly
think
what
I'm
you
using
mean.
like, and the zone defense is something you see in a lot of like sports where you kind of play like an area and kind of zone out a little, like kind of zone like that part of the area away, and then you have to kind of play in between that. But in Overwatch, when you're playing that style, you can't really. You're just gonna be on angles the whole time. So it's like a lot of off angles happen, and they really can't do much in that sense. So yeah, I mean that's definitely. I don't think Sombra's gonna stay the same way. One thing's for sure after watching that, I don't think Sombra will.
Absolutely.
I don't see Sombra staying
Broken,
that way.
busted.
And I imagine I haven't read too much of the AMA yet, but I'm pretty sure that they probably mentioned. Oh, did they mention that?
Yes, they said they were starting
okay.
to tone her down already.
Yeah. Yep. So I think that like at that point we'll probably see some of that stuff be toned down a little bit.
So here's my concern watching this, even because of up close fighting. It seems like from map 1 to map 2, I feel like Lucio's not good. I feel like Lucio is just inferior to like Zen, is inferior to Bap, Mercy, etc. The only thing Lucio always provided was rush, you know. It doesn't like other than like holding them in small chokes, even right there, like holding them at the end of this corner. It was hard to get like force a fight. You know what I mean? Like soldiers on high ground, Sombra's behind you, the Diva's like barely touching, then flying away. You know.
Yep.
And that's basically how Ryan has always functioned, was needing the speed. You know, like current Ryan honestly doesn't really use Lucio that much, just because you're basically like a hold area and just try not to explode. You know, character.
Yep.
Which is much more passive and much more boring as a player. I hate that playstyle. Like the whole playstyle of just like kind of like just, you know what I mean? Like you've told me a million times, like sometimes you just have to sit there and wait. You know what I mean? Just don't move. And that's boring as a player. Like there's no active decisions. Like any active decisions will cause you to lose at that point.
Yep.
So my thing is looking at this, how my concern, I guess, is how I'm going to be able to chase down targets, or I'm going to be able to chase down areas or whatever. One, what if I don't have a speed? And two, even if I have a speed, isn't enough, you know?
You know, I've talked about this with Diva, and I'll explain this a little bit when we watch the POV from Super, which I'm actually excited to watch. I know he plays a little bit of Diva. I've talked about, what if you increase Lucio's range again?
Interesting.
Not by what it was initially, but you increase
Could you
the range.
wall around at like the top of the map on like Route 66 and like hit the whole map?
There was things you could do. You could do a lot of stuff. Not increase it to what it was, but increase the range a little bit more. So that way it can still kind of be in that area they want people to brawl at, but it also will add a little bit more healing to people on the outsides of the map, So if people want to play that spread, like, you know what I mean? They want to play like spread around the map, but also at the same time, you just increase the range. You don't have to increase it to 180 billion meters, which it was before, but you just give it enough range to where a tank like Rhine, honestly, even a tank like Hog can benefit from that increased range. So that way that there could be a little bit more of the tank being able to get into those fights. Because once again, and we've talked about this, and I've mentioned it before, one of the big concerns is that like with things like Discord, you have a bunch of increased damage. So like you can't even, I don't even think you can drop your shield sometimes against Discord I imagine in Overwatch 2 so far. And if you do, you might die or take too much damage. So if you're able to, you know, maybe increase the range again on the R, or like, you know what I mean? And see if that maybe gives a little bit more value to how Ryan plays. Because I feel like if Ryan had a little bit more, okay, I could be a little bit to the side now and kind of go for more of an aggressive play. And I know I can do that because my Lucio is not necessarily next to me, right? But I can still kind of get a little bit more map control, and that might make it so, you know, that soldier who's playing a little bit, you know, at max distance may not be able to kind of get those easier shots on you, right? Because a lot of the time, Lucio won't even be near you, or will be a little bit further from you if they're not playing that way.
Especially, I think that almost like the quote-unquote Reddit Lucio, you know? Like, I think that's something that should be encouraged, like fragging, going aggressive. I think it's a fun play style for Lucio players. I think it's a fun play style for, you know, being more aggressive than passive. So increasing the range would actually help that a ton, because, you know, when you're like, oh, Lucio, what the heck? You're so far away from me. Like, you're going too fast. Like, you know, on a map, like, let's say, like, Ilios Well, like, if that reached, like, most of the area of the well, you know what I mean? Like, so they could fly around and do their thing. Like, that'd be awesome, I think.
Well, it gives a bit more room for error.
Yeah.
And it allows for that little bit, you know, more different play style. and I'm not saying that's the play they should go with or what they should do, but I think that's like, if that,
Possibility.
and maybe they've tested it too, but I think that could help Ryan a little bit more in those situations.
Mhm.
Because that's what I'm looking at there. Like I agree with Ryan's value there is like, no matter what, like Ryan's gonna be one of the go-to heroes that's gonna be played.
Yeah.
Like, that's gonna be a thing that's gonna happen. Is Ryan's gonna be one of those heroes you want because still people are gonna want to have a shield, right? And we haven't seen Sigma. Will Sigma have a shield? You know, we don't even know because we haven't seen Sigma or Orisa in any of these playtests. Keep in mind, we haven't even gone to that point yet, right? We haven't even seen
Give
Sigma or
Orisa Gallop.
Orisa. We haven't even seen like the current version of Doomfist that's being tested as a tank.
Oh god.
So my point is that you could add a little bit more value to Ryan with that, right? Where Ryan gets a little bit more, you know, Lucio gets a little bit more value in those comps because right now, for example, and we'll talk about this with like BAP, you know, BAP is really strong. BAP can do a ton of damage. BAP with window, BAP does a ton of damage, right? So when you have all these, you know, supports doing a bunch of damage, you know, you may not see Lucio play as much, especially with Zen being able to just discord somebody and increase that damage in general too, right? So it's like, can Ryan get a little bit more value if they do that, just by a little bit, right? Right? Just by a little bit. And that's what I'm curious. I'm actually kind of curious. Can we just chat, like see how the ranges are in Overwatch 1? If you increase the range by, let's say 15%, what that would do on a, you could see it on Havana.
If you had
right?
a workshot mode, or actually, I don't know, like you probably get a workshop mode for it, maybe.
You probably can workshop mode it, right? And just see what happens if you increase the range.
Yeah.
There's a rumor about Doom being a tank. They said they said currently they're testing versions of Doomfist as tank. But if I'm correct, they haven't really figured anything out. I saw that recently people were saying, oh, they're definitely doing it. But I didn't think, did they confirm that they're definitely making Doomfist a tank? I thought they said they were testing it.
They're testing it.
Okay, I was just making sure on that.
Because he has a lot of tank aspects, such as CC and mobility.
Makes sense. But yeah, I mean, I think, you know, overall watching that map, I mean, definitely was concerned with that, with how that plays. And that once again goes to the current version of Overwatch is very high damage, very, you know, we'll see.
Yeah.
How that plays there, but definitely was Ryan definitely wasn't able to play as well in that for sure.